hexagons. So now on part two, we're gonna go ahead and basically work with the same shapes. I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you right now that all of my shapes, they're supposed to be regular, okay? So that means that all sides should be congruent. I know some of them don't look like it, sorry about that. But again, just treat it as all sides are supposed to be congruent and all angles are supposed to be the same, okay? So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. This is called a hexagon. A hexagon is one of the most common shapes that come up when we do these problems. So that's why I decided to start with these first, okay? So let's just say that in this regular hexagon, all the sides were 10. Keep it simple. Let's just say that this was 10, okay? That's what was given. Oh, that's 10, okay? Well, if that side is 10, well, we know that all the other sides should also be 10, right? That's 10, that's 10, that's 10, that's 10, 10, 10. And remember how the area in a regular polygon is your apothem times the perimeter divided by 2. We can easily calculate the perimeter here as 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, right? Which gives us 60. The one thing that is not given in our picture is our apothem, okay? We don't know our apothem. And what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is I'm going to show you how to calculate this apothem. This is what I'm going to focus here. Once you know your apothem, go back and look at part 1 if you forgot how to use the formula. So in order to calculate our apothem, you need to keep in mind that we can draw a triangle inside. If I was to draw this to the vertice of the figure, right, we have a set number of triangles. Now, earlier, I had told you guys, I had showed you guys this picture right here. So again, if you imagine drawing a whole bunch of diagonals, right, you see that we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles. Now, the angles around a point always add up to the same thing. They always add up to 360. So because I have 6 pieces here, I have 6 sides, I'm going to do 360 divided by 6. So 360 divided by 6 is 60. So I know that each angle here is 60 degrees. Okay? I know that the angle right here is 60 degrees. Now, my apothem, though, is cutting it right down the middle. So the angle right here is actually 30 degrees. 30 degrees. And also the next thing you got to keep in mind is what kind of triangle we just created. We created a right triangle. So I have a right triangle, and it doesn't matter which one you're looking at, whether it's the one on the left or the one on the right, it's exactly the same thing. So we have a right triangle, okay, where we're looking for our apothem. We don't know what it is. That's an A, not a 9, okay? That's an A. That's an A. That's your apothem, not the number 9. I'm going to indicate that it's your apothem. Sorry. Okay. And we don't know this distance here. We don't know it. But you do have enough information here for the bottom. Remember that since it's a regular polygon, everything is pretty much 10. So this bottom part from here to here, it's 10. But since my apothem cut it right down the middle, each little piece is 5. So in my right triangle, this is 5. Okay. Now remember how we said that the angle here was 60 degrees? Well, that means that the angle right here has to be 30 degrees. So at that point, if you want to solve for A, whether you do the law of sines or you do SOHCAHTOA, or you could even use the 30, 60, 90 rule, you could find out what A is. Well, if you just keep this in mind, if you use the 30, 60, 90 rule right off the bat, a should be 5 times the square root of 3. Okay, and many times your answer choices, especially when you're doing multiple choice, it looks like they're doing the 30, 60, 90 rule. Okay, but again, don't worry, like don't freak out if you're like, where on earth did he come up with that? Well, it's from the 30, 60, 90 rule. Okay, I want to remind you that in the 30, 60, 90 rule, the one across the 30 is x, the one across the 60 is x times the square root of 3, and the 90 is twice as much as the small one, so this would be 10 here. But again, let's say you couldn't figure that out using the 30, 60, 90 rule. Well, let's do some law of sines. Okay, using the law of sines, I know that this angle right here, well, this has to be 60 because of the triangle. 5 is across the 30, so 5 sine of 30 is to a, or x, whatever you want to call it, over the sine of 60. And again, I recently posted a video on this, so just go back and check that out. But basically, I cross multiply, and so it's 5 times the sine of 60 divided by the sine of 30. So I get 8.66. So I know that A is 8.66. And just so you guys could see, 5 times the square root of 3 will give me exactly the same thing. Okay, so even if you didn't know your 30, 60, 90 rule, if you could do the law of sines and you had a calculator in a multiple choice test, you could easily get to your answer. So again, in order to do your formula, I'm just going to do this on this problem, and that's it. It's your apothem times perimeter divided by 2. Okay? So again, once you know P and A, you plug them in and you're done. Okay? So for the next few set of problems, all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you how to solve for the apothem if you know a side. The steps are going to all be the same. Step 1 is pretty much find your perimeter. Step 2, let me write it down here, guys. You might want to write this down somewhere. But if you don't know your apothem, right, or in general, to find the area using the regular polygon, right, the very first step you want to do is find perimeter if you can. There'll be times when you can't. Okay, the second step will be to find your apothem, and again, there'll be times when you can't. And the third step is just going to be to plug into the formula. Now, when you don't know your apothem and you don't know your perimeter, there are side steps, and this is what the steps are. Okay, so again, when you don't know the apothem, first find the angle, then do law of sines. You're done. All right, so here we go. This is another hexagon. Let's just say that the sides were 5, so or 15. 15. Everything was 15, right? And again, that's all you knew, but you did not know your apothem. Okay, my perimeter is going to be 15 plus 15. A whole bunch, total of 6 times. So my perimeter here I know is 90, but I want to find my apothem. So I do the same thing. Okay. To find this angle right here, okay, just count how many sides there are. It's a hexagon. There's 6 sides, so 360 divided by 6. That's 60. That angle is 60. But since I only care about half, I'm going to get whatever I get, I'm going to divide it by 2. So it's 30. So again, because it's a hexagon, and anytime you have a hexagon, you're going to be using the same angle, basically. So we know that this is 30, and if that's 30, that's 60. This side was 15. Half of 15 is 7.5. And I'm looking for my apothem. Okay, so again, 7.5 to the sine of 30, x to the sine of 60. So I'm going to do a quick cross multiplication, and whatever I get, that's going to be my apothem. So 7.5 times the sine of 60 divided by the sine of 30. So my apothem is 12.99, so it's pretty much 13. Okay, so I know my perimeter, I know my apothem, I solve it for area, that's it. So again, notice how easy it is to get your apothem when you don't know it. All right, next up, okay, a pentagon. And the reason I'm doing another shape now is because one, this is another shape that's common, and two, you will no longer be using that 60 degrees, that 30 degrees. It's going to change because it's a different shape. All right. So again, let's just say that everything was 5. So right off the bat, you could easily calculate and say that the perimeter is 25. And you're looking for the apothem. Okay. So again, there's a total of 5 sides. So I'm going to do 360 divided by 5 because there's 5 sides. And 360 divided by 5 is 72. 72 is what this angle is right here. Right? Together, these two together make that 72 degrees. But again, I only care about half of it. So 72 divided by 2 is 36. And so when I'm working with my right triangle, I know that this angle right here is 36 degrees. Since this was 5, from here to here it's 5. And again, same thing, I have to divide it by 2, and half of 5 is 2.5. And I'm looking for my apothem. Call it x. And if that's 36, again, 180 minus 90 minus 36, because the angles add up to 180. So this has to be 54. So a quick law signs, x is to the sine of 54, oops, just like 2.5 is to the sine of 36. I do a quick cross multiplication. 2.5 times the sine of 54, and I have to divide it by the sine of 36. So I know that x, which is my apothem, is 3.44. And I'm going to leave it as 3.4. Now that I know my apothem, again, if I wanted to find the area, it's just perimeter times apothem divided by 2. But I'm just focusing on the apothem right now. One more. All right, let's say that the side was 12. Okay, and again, you are looking for the apothem. You could easily find the perimeter, right? 12 times 5, 60. But if you wanted to find the apothem, same thing, right? 360 divided by what? How many sides are there? 5. So we divide by 5. And we already did the work, we get 72. We're going to get our right triangle. Is the 72 going to go in here, yes or no? No. We must get that angle that we got, and we must divide it by 2. The angle that goes in here is actually 36. Please don't forget that once you find, 360 divided by the number of sides, you still have to divide by 2. So that angle is 36. Half of 12 is 6, and you're looking for your apothem. And again, 180 minus 90 minus 36, that's 54. Notice how the angles don't change if you're using the same shape, right? So x is to the sine of 54, just like 6 is to the sine of 36. So we cross multiply. 6 times the sine of 54 divided by the sine of 36. So x, which represents my apothem, is pretty much 8.3. Okay, so again, notice how easy it is to calculate our apothem. We find our angle. Don't forget how to find our angle. All right. this shape is supposed to be an octagon. So let's just pretend that each side in my octagon was 10. So that very easily I can come and calculate that my perimeter is 80. And if I want to find my apothem, again, literally the same thing. I need to find out what this angle is. But since I only care about half of it, right, because I'm only going to focus on one of the triangles, I'm going to end up dividing by 2. So 360, how many sides are there? There's 8. So I divide by 8. 360 divided by 8, that's 45. 45 is the total angle there. But again, I must divide by 2. And I get 22.5. Yes, you're going to get decimals as angles at times, but it's not crazy, right? It's just a bigger number with a decimal in it. So when we're going to solve for our apothem, again, we know that that angle right there, it's not 45. We're going to use the 22.5. If this was 10, remember your apothem cuts it right down the middle, so this is 5. Okay, and we're looking for your apothem. Again, you're going to need this angle and just do 180 minus the 2 that you already know. All right, so we know that the angle here is 67.5. So when we're looking for our apothem, x is to the sine of 67.5, just like 5 is to the sine of 22.5. Okay. So we do a quick cross multiplication, right? So it's going to be 5 times the sine of 67.5 divided by the sine of 22.5. So I find out that my apothem has to be 12.07. Okay, so my apothem is 12.07. So I'm going to say 12.1, right? And I mean, that's pretty much it, guys, right? So watch one more, and do exactly the same way. And again, the shape could be any shape. The steps are exactly the same. The only thing that changes are those angles, right? Let's just say here that the sides were, let's see, earlier I used an example with a 4. Okay, so I know we're not going to get it there. So let's say everything was 4. Again, on part 1, I already talked about how to get the perimeter, and the perimeter was just 32. But we're looking for the apothem. Well, automatically I know that's 2. And if I'm trying to find out what this angle is, I'm going to do 360 divided by the number of sides. And then I'm going to get that number and divide it by 2. Okay. So again, I still end up with that 22.5. So I have an angle here of 22.5. I know this is 2, and I'm looking for my apothem. We know that the angle in here is 67.5, and we do literally the same thing. X is to the sine of 67.5, and 2 is to the sine of 22.5. When I do the work, right, cross multiplication, 2 times the sine of 67.5 divided by the sine of 22.5. So I get that my apothem should be basically 4.8. Okay, my apothem is 4.8. So again, that's how you solve for your apothem, guys. Okay, I'm gonna do part 3 where you end up solving for your perimeter when you don't know it. Okay. Again, please watch these videos, and if you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to me. Thank you. Bye.